Hey everybody, Bill Stainton here. There's a good chance that this coronavirus, this COVID-19 thing, has disrupted your business and maybe pretty much your entire life. I know it has mine. See, as a keynote speaker on innovation, I work in the meetings industry. An entire industry pretty much predicated on large groups of people gathering in a single space. How's that business model working out, huh? Now look, your disruption might be different. Maybe you've got a supply chain issue. Maybe that final part that you need to put together, to assemble your amazing product, maybe comes from overseas and you can't get it right now. That's a disruption. And most of us, if not all of us, are certainly feeling some kind of an economic disruption, some kind of financial impact. And here's the thing, none of this is new. I mean, COVID-19 is new, of course, but the idea of some outside force coming in seemingly out of nowhere and totally disrupting the status quo, that's as old as time itself. Don't believe me? Ask a dinosaur. Oh, that's right, you can't. They're not around anymore. Some outside force came in seemingly out of nowhere and totally disrupted the status quo. And see, when that happens, when the status quo gets completely disrupted like it is now, we need to be able to come up with a plan B. And that requires innovation. Now here's the challenge with that. See, most people don't know how to innovate. I mean, we know we need to be innovating now. We know we should be innovating now, but most people don't know how to innovate. They don't know how to come up with that breakthrough idea on demand when it's needed. Here's the good news. You and I are friends, and I happen to have a little bit of expertise in this area. I've even won some awards for it. So I'm going to give you a couple tips right now to help you find and develop those innovative ideas that you need to come up with your own plan B for your own challenges. The first thing you need to know is this, that innovation comes from connecting dots. Finding two or more things that don't seem to belong together and coming up with that connection. That's the breakthrough idea. That's the innovation. And here's how you can start doing it right now. Here's how you can start connecting dots right now. Think about a challenge that you're facing. I know, right? Just, pick one. Just pick one challenge you're facing. And then, as you're thinking about that challenge, ask yourself this question. Who else has solved a similar issue? Now, you might be thinking about your colleagues, your competitors, people in your industry, people who do what you do, people in your line of work. I want you to stretch your thinking a little bit right now. I want you to think outside of your industry, maybe even way outside. I'll give you an example. Some years ago, Swiss truck drivers who deliver fuel were trying to find a way to come up with the shortest route between fuel stops in the Alps. Now, for a number of reasons, that's actually a more complex issue, a more complex challenge than it may seem on the surface. And they tried dozens and dozens of options, dozens and dozens of ideas. Nothing was really working. And then finally, some smarty-pants innovator in the Swiss trucking industry asked the question, who else has solved a similar issue? Who else has needed to find the shortest distance between 2 points and solve that issue? And you know what he came up with? Ants! Ants, the insect. Not your mom's sister. She'd be completely useless in this situation. But ants, as it turns out, through millions of years of evolution, have come up with some kind of ingenious ways to find the shortest route to a food source. It involves, pheromones and other ant things like that. But the bottom line is that the Swiss trucking industry now uses software that mimics the behavior of ants. Which means that when this whole COVID thing is over and we're allowed to go out and have picnics again, your picnic will now be ruined by Swiss fuel trucks. That's a different issue. That's a different challenge. The point is that whatever challenge you're facing, somebody, something, some entity has solved a similar issue. Some entity has faced a similar challenge and solved it. Your job is to find that entity. And it starts with asking the question, who else has solved a similar issue? get together with your team, virtually of course, social distancing, make it safe, but pose that question: who else outside of our industry has solved a similar issue? That's job number one. And then you need to figure out, okay, how did they solve it? And then the final step, the really breakthrough step, is to ask yourself the question, okay, how can we take their solution and apply it to our situation, to our world? Boom! That's when the breakthrough happens. You take those two dots. How did some other entity solve a similar challenge, and what can we take from that and apply to our world that might bring us closer to our own solution? So ask yourself the question, who else has solved a similar issue? That's what innovators do. That's what the breakthrough thinkers do. And that's what you can do as well.